Pat yourself on the back because you are right here, right now, for a reason. Welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where together we will empower ourselves and others to live lives with more passion and purpose. How you doing this morning, Jared?
I am fantastic, my friend. Summer is my season. We're back together live in the studio. I get to feel your energy and share this journey with you. I enjoyed the storytelling virtually, but man, it's different when we're together, and that's what I really missed in this whole deal was just human interaction, you know?
Way better, man. Way better.
Yeah, you just sound better in my ears like this.
No, I hear that, man. And we got a new little spot here for the OPP podcast. I'm liking this as well.
Always upgrading. We got Patreon going. Thanks to all of our Patreons out there that are helping us keep this possible. Transparent moment like we shared with you a couple months ago now. We were spending money every month to make this.
Yeah.
Like, it literally cost us money, but it was money well invested for us. Mm-hmm. However, to go to that next stage is just so awesome to have everybody joining us and contributing and helping us really reach the goals of the On Purpose podcast and the community. So thank you so much.
Yeah. And we're still spending money to this day to make this continue going. But with Patreon support, thank you guys again so much. It's making that burden a little less so we can start to invest more into progressing the podcast, progressing the amount of workshops that we're doing more in-person events. So I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, it's good stuff. What did you think about your man, Imam?
Imam.
Gosh, I still can't get it right.
Man, he made me realize there's a lot more I can learn about the Quran, Islam, language. I mean, I honestly, I feel like we barely scratched the surface with his story. He was definitely a lot to share, and I kind of felt a little rushed, to be honest, that I kind of had to kind of keep him moving so we could get in what we wanted to get in an hour. But I'm hoping that some people out there get something out of this.
Yeah.
You know, there's over 1 billion people that can relate to what he was sharing, and that's stories about Islam and the LGBT community.
Yeah, it's interesting. He needs like a Joe Rogan 4-hour podcast to share his stories. I enjoyed his stories. And there's so much to learn from that guy. But I do have to admit, and maybe some of our community can jump in on this and share with me, but I struggle at times when people don't want to be identified as different for a trait, like in his case being gay and African American. He had several things that made him different. And and not just him, but just in general. Like a lot of times people are like, well, I just want to be seen the same. But then on the flip side, you kind of tout those differences as qualifications. So I wished I could have asked him that, because he prefaced that, he's one of the first openly gay imams. Imam, damn it. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, okay, is that important? I just didn't know if that was super important or not. I'm assuming it is because he says it, but I wished I could have got a little deeper on, okay, why is this so important? And really understood that qualifier, because listening to him, if I was a practicing Muslim, I would think I would listen to you regardless of gay because of your knowledge and your travels and your worldliness, sexual orientation. Really, I wouldn't have seen that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, not everyone thinks like that, Jared.
Maybe.
Even in the Christian religion, you don't hear about all these gay preachers, right? Or gay priests.
That's true.
It might be a little bit more than today in today's world that there might be.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's just as many Christians out there who would be like, "Oh, he's gay. I'm not going to his church."
Does that help you? Like, is that what, like, hearing that he's a gay leader of the Muslim church make you more intrigued in his story?
Of course, yeah,
Okay.
because Islam is one of the most, I think, non-accepting religion, and I shouldn't say religion because, like we learned from him, it's more Middle Eastern culture than it is religion. Of when ISIS used to be on national news and stuff, it was horrible. They used to throw gay people off of rooftops and murder them, and it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I see that. I wish I could have got his view. And maybe we'll bring him back someday and kind of delve into that deeper.
Yeah. So community, you'll have to let us know what you thought of that one. Very interesting.
Definitely different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because honestly, we didn't even know.
Yeah.
We're like, his stuff looks awesome. Let's see how it goes. And we could have had like 4 hours.
Yeah. No, I agree. Today will be an exciting episode, though.
I'm excited.
Dr. Elyse Rigney. So let's hear a little bit about her.
Yeah, she is a good friend of mine. Honestly, she's one of the people most responsible for where I'm at today.
Oh, wow.
She was my chiropractor for my family, and we got to know her and her family, and she was always challenging me. Because, I was a policeman when I met her, and I was just starting to do my MMA fights. And she's like, we want to sponsor you. We want to be part of the team. And, they had my posters up. They were the first ones that kind of made me like, I don't want to say a celebrity, but definitely reminded me that it's okay to stand out. Because I would come in there and my pictures would be everywhere. And like everybody would want my art. And I was just like, wait a second, that's still in me. You know what I mean? Like she kind of helped awaken that. And then she'd always challenge me. She's like, hey, why aren't you writing a book yet? Why don't you have a podcast? You did a great speech after your fight. Why aren't you speaking more? And really, we met a couple times, like his business mentor. She was mentoring me just to be like, hey, you got to go. Here's how you do some of this stuff. So it's a privilege to bring her in today and kind of flip it. And now we get to help share her story to our community. Because honestly, without her, I don't know if I have this community.
Wow, that's deep. Well, I'm excited to meet her then. Let's go ahead and bring her on. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Hello, On Purpose community, and welcome to another episode with a very special guest today, Dr. Elyse Rigney. She is a wife, she is a mama of 3, an entrepreneur, chiropractor, CEO of $1 million practice, and leader in the community and chiropractic profession. She holds 3 bachelor's degrees, a doctorate, and most recently earned her CACCP, which is pretty much a PhD in chiropractic, and also owns Impact Chiropractic right here in Fort Collins, and also speaks within the chiropractic profession. So she has a lot to share with us today. How are you today, Dr. Elyse?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
It's good to have you here. It's awesome to be able to repay you a little bit. I was telling Ali in the intro that without you, I might not even be here because you always spurred me to be better and to continue to push forward. So being able to help bring you in now and share your story with all of our community on what you have upcoming and stuff is just an honor to pay you back.
Well, I appreciate that, but it was all you. You did it all. You did it all. I was just there to support and cheer.
I don't know. You shared a lot of ideas. I'd never heard of Gary Vee.
For real?
No, you introduced me to Gary Vee.
I'll take that one.
But it was funny, right?
But this was years ago.
It was
not
years
like
ago.
You just discovered Gary
No.
Vee.
Right.
Yeah, for the qualified list. But it was funny because she's like, he cusses a lot, but he's pretty good. And I was like, oh, I'm good with cussing.
That's funny. Well, hearing that you've been such an influence in Jared's life on top of all these chiropractic professions makes me want to sit up a little straighter here.
I know. I was even thinking, right. I'm guilty in this. Yeah. Because you want to lean in.
Right.
But, got to have that good
No, man, your family's just been amazing for us and, taking care of Trey and Taya through their athletic endeavors. And I can't repay you enough. So it's an honor to be able to share this with our community. And we're excited. But before we get into any heavy stuff.
Yes.
We got to warm you up, just like those little warm-ups you make me do when I come into the practice,
That's
right? I just don't jump on that adjusting table.
Some wobble exercises.
That's
right there?
Some traction.
That's one. Yeah,
a little rowing.
Got a bunch of it. So we're going to warm you up.
Got it.
Now I hope you're ready for this. I need to know, we need to know, not just me, we need to know.
Yep.
You get one food, no matter what kind of keto things you're doing, whatever, what are you taking with you?
Okay, well, it is kind of along those lines. So I need my coffee, even though that's not necessarily a food. But
coffee's a gift.
I put collagen in it.
Yeah.
And some ketones. Is that my food? Does that count, or can I bring something else?
I think you need something else.
I mean, because I need that to function, right?
You can bring that along.
So that's already an essential.
Yeah.
Okay.
That and water, right? Okay. Well, dang, that's the only thing I had planned there. I'm going to go for like some smoked meat. Like some smoked beef bourguignon or something like that. I grew up on a beef cattle farm, so.
And her husband's a chef.
And he's a chef, yeah. Risotto is my favorite, but I feel like if I was only eating risotto, that would not be good.
What did you say? Beef bouillon?
Bourguignon. It's like, it's French, and it's, I don't know, I think it's a specific cut of the cow.
Okay.
And it just like, you don't even need a knife to cut it. It's so good.
Dang,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So like a filet mignon.
You get that at
type
King
of,
But
Supers,
softer. Yeah.
It's softer. Yeah.
Probably.
I know my beef.
You do know the grass fed. You got Rocky hooked on that.
Yeah,
like,
I know
they
grass fed.
But they put the grass fed on a sale a certain day, and you go and pick it up.
okay,
Yeah.
All right, here's the real question. How do you spell bourguignon?
Oh my gosh, Bourignon, I think.
Okay.
I'm not the best.
Bourguignon. Bourguignon.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
You make it sound
Okay,
fancy,
maybe
good
I've seen
idea.
that somewhere.
Bourguignon.
It's like French
Bourguignon.
cuisine, so you would see it maybe around here at like Chimney Park, in Windsor maybe. That's probably the only place. And then Denver. Garden Grace in Denver is best steakhouse, hands down.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
beef
There's a good
bourguignon. We know what you're
Yeah.
taking with you. Beef bourguignon and ketone
Just
coffee.
need someone to cook it for me. That's the problem. I don't
So
care.
you need the beef and Rocky.
Yeah, I need to bring
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's the first time we've had somebody take a food and a chef with them.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. Yeah, very
I need
self-sufficient.
that.
We had
Otherwise,
one.
I would lose weight if I didn't bring him with me.
I don't know if you listened to Scott Savage's, but he was pretty funny. He took tequila.
Oh.
That was his one food.
Yeah.
See, that's like my coffee. That's your essential beverage.
yeah.
And then you need your food.
He took the agave plant,
Yeah.
which he could make
There
tequila out of
you
if
go.
he wanted to, or so he was thinking very self-sufficiently. Okay,
Right.
awesome. Awesome, Doc. Can I call you Doc?
Sure, go for it.
I feel like that's
But you
kinda
don't
fun.
have to either, so.
I like saying Doc. I'll interchange between Doc and Dr. Elyse. So next question, Doc. If you could be any superhero,
Mm-hmm.
real or made up, like Wonder Woman or Super Elyse,
Okay.
who would you be, and what would your only superpower be? You can only have one.
Oh man, this one's tough because I knew you were gonna ask me this. But all I could come up with, like name wise, I used to always, like MSN Messenger, AOL,
Yeah.
like, all of those I used to have. I was always E-Unit.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, that's more like a rapper name. I don't know if that's a superpower. But yeah, so my superpower, so I'll be E-Unit
Okay.
or E-Rigs.
E-rigs.
E-Rigs. My last
So we
name's
sell here at
Rigney.
B-Nails, electric rigs.
Oh, there you go. That's like one of my, I don't know, TikTok, Snapchat, something, one of like my younger social media handles.
Yeah.
Younger people.
Yeah.
And gosh, I don't know. Rachel's was good, healing people, but I feel like I get to do that already.
So you're living your superpower.
Yeah. But I think it would be like connecting with people, being able to connect and like heal them more on that spiritual side,
Yeah.
if that makes sense, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of it combined. Yeah.
Man, we have such compassionate guests,
do.
man. I want to hear like a flying or
Yeah.
be invisible or something like
Invisible
that.
would be neat. I know, but I'm like, how could I help people being invisible?
True.
That's
know,
true.
Get a lot of dirt.
Nobody once has said they just want to smash stuff. I'm
Right?
still waiting
Some
for
Hulk,
Yeah.
some Hulk smash.
the first guess. Is like, I just want to wreck things.
That's hilarious.
But I guess, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we definitely have a lot of compassion because a lot of people want to help each other,
Yeah, that's
which
good.
is good.
Yeah.
All right, what book are you currently reading?
Untamed by Glennon Doyle.
Yeah.
It's very feminine.
Someone recommended that
To you?
on the podcast.
Oh, yeah?
I believe we've heard
I
this,
believe
yeah.
somebody, a
So-
previous guest recommended it.
I'm in the middle of it. Yeah. It was talked up a lot. I'll just say that.
Okay.
But it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
What's it about?
And you never know. You're not
Well,
done yet, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's about Glennon Doyle's life, and she is a writer, and she used to write on marriage. I think she maybe wrote some books on parenting. Her husband had an affair, and so I think she ended up writing a book on that as well. But then she ended up leaving him, is now a lesbian, and
Whoa.
I believe married to Abby is her name, her wife. And I'm in the middle of it. So, like, that's kind of how but, it's obviously much more eloquent than that. I'm not, like, a great storyteller.
Yeah.
There's a lot of purpose behind all of her stories within
Interesting.
there. But it's pretty interesting. It's about, not, especially I think sometimes as parents, we can sometimes any of us will put others priorities ahead of our own.
Yeah.
And she talks about like really taking care of yourself, and you're going to show up better for the rest of the world when you are living out your truth too. Yeah. So it's great. It's definitely great. It's just, I'm halfway through, so I don't have all the gems at the end of it, you know?
Yeah, we'll have to link that up for our listeners if they want to check it out.
Sounds like who else was reading it, but somebody was.
Someone did. Yeah, well, Dr. Elyse, today it's all about you and getting to know your story and a little bit about your purpose. So we're excited to get into that. Now, you hold multiple bachelor's degrees and multiple titles.
Yes.
That, I mean, millions of people in the world want to be, right? Wife, mother, female entrepreneur, female CEO. These are all buzzwords in a group of people, you know, female CEOs and female leaders that we're seeing rise and emerge. I actually had the privilege of going to a massive conference in the marijuana industry, and Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful, was the keynote speaker. And he told us, you know, he's the one who's always like, the money, all about the money. And he was saying that he would much rather have a female CEO because they don't have testosterone targets. They're like 90% more likely to get their list done because they don't try to make these huge lists that typically male CEOs and male leaders have. So yeah, I'm really excited to get into that. Just want to share that little bit and hear a little bit more about your general purpose.
Sure. So my general purpose, is that what you want to get into?
Yeah. Let's go with that. And actually, let's start a little bit more in the past of how you found purpose in your life. Take us back.
Sure. Well, first of all, I never talk about my past. So that's what's interesting was when we were setting up for this, I'm like, geez, whenever I come on podcasts, it's like all about content and business and strategy and chiropractic or whatever it might be. So it kind of is interesting talking about the past. But so I grew up, I guess I'd say poor. I wasn't, I had a home. We had a home that we lived in. Yeah. It wasn't like we were on the streets, but definitely like my back to school clothes were Goodwill. And if I ever wanted to do anything, any sport I wanted to be in, I had to pay the booster fees. I started working as soon as I can, I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur right away because of the unlimited earning potential, I would say. And that money provided more freedom and more options and more opportunities, I felt at a young time, because I saw not being able to do stuff because of lack of money, if that makes sense.
Absolutely it does. I think that's a huge limiting belief that paralyzes many people.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, if you're not prone to money, you're not around people that have healthy relationships with money, sometimes you look at people that do get money as evil.
Oh, 100%. Right. And that's what was like grounded.
And I love what you just said, that you saw having money meant opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
How did you find that out at a young age, that entrepreneurship perhaps may lead to more opportunities?
Sure. Well, right away I just started, I was probably 5 and I started, this is crazy, but I started like making bracelets. So like with little embroidery thread, and I would sell them. I did like lemonade stands, and I'd sell these bracelets, and I'd go into, even if it wasn't like a garage sale we were having, I'd go to someone's garage sale and ask if I could sell these bracelets.
Oh, wow.
And then when I got older, babysitting, and as soon as I could get a job, I think it was 12 years old, 7th grade, whenever that is, legally in Minnesota, I could get a job, and I worked at a grocery store. And then 15, I started working as a server. And I couldn't even serve the alcohol. I actually worked at a French cuisine restaurant, and it was fancy for the town I lived in. But I'd have to have someone else deliver the drinks for me who was 18 and older. So serving, you really learn like that unlimited earning potential, where all of a sudden I could start buying the clothes I wanted. I bought my own car. I was able, anything I ever wanted, even like I said, basics. If I wanted like my Letterman jacket, I had to pay for it. Or if I wanted to be, I was a 3-sport athlete. So being in those sports, and you're required to pay for certain jerseys and sweatshirts and towels and, you name it, I had to make sure I could earn that. So once I started to see I could earn that, and I can earn more, and by being nice and kind and, connecting with a person at the table, there's unlimited potential there. I'd get $100 tips, and also I think I learned not to judge a person when I was serving too, because it was easy. Like you've seen Waiting, like the crap they talk behind and all of that. And I've worked with a lot of people like that, and I'd always come out making some nights over $100 more than them. And I think it was because I was like, you don't know, I'd have Sturgis Harley dudes coming through, and they would just leave like really hundreds of dollars in tips. And I was like, it's because I cared. I genuinely wanted to get them a refill of whatever beverage it was. And I saw that like, wow, customer service could not only like change their day, but also influence my life in a positive way too. So I think also I lived on a farm. We moved a lot. I think 11 different times. So I had to switch schools. I had to learn how to meet new people and connect with new people, join new sports teams. Like that was quite interesting too, when you'd have your spot on a team. And then you'd have to kind of earn that leadership role again when you join a new team.
Right.
But with I guess back to your question, as I was moving, I would like, I wasn't able to like go play with kids in the neighborhood or anything because we lived so far away. I always lived like 25 minutes from wherever I went to school. So I would get subscriptions to 17 magazine. And that was like my dream. That was like my vision board. I'd cut things out. I'd put it on the inside of my closet door. Before I even knew what vision boards were, that's what I was doing, because I just dream of what could be in the future when I had that opportunity to have that freedom, really.
I love that. Were you surrounded? Was your family a bunch of dreamers of what could be, or were they opposite? How did you get so strong in that?
A little bit of both. So my dad has always owned businesses, but he's like the serial entrepreneur where he would start a business and get sick of it within like 4 to 6 years. And I know he's going to watch this, and he will totally agree, because he still calls me and he's like, so I have this business idea. And I'm like, do you want me to invest? Do you want my advice on this? Where are we at with this? So he always like skipped around. So it was like, you know, sometimes we could make ends meet with those businesses, but sometimes you're in the red because you're starting a business, and anyone who's started a business knows it's, you know, it takes time. Yeah. And so sometimes by the time we'd start to see something come of that, we'd move.
He'd get bored
and we'd get
it.
a new business. Yeah. And then I'd say like the money beliefs was really negative beliefs, as far as like rich people maybe aren't evil, but are selfish.
Yeah.
Like if there was a new car, he'd say it has like a new car smell and it stinks. And like, it's, you know, the second you drive it off the lot, it decreases in value, which is so true. Like these are life lessons. But so 4 years ago, when I turned 3 years ago, when I turned 30, I bought a brand new Range Rover, and it was the first new car. I've bought every single car myself since I could 16. Yeah. And I was like, I'm buying a new car. I don't care if it's going to lose $20,000 when I drive it off the lot, because I have to do this for myself. Yeah. And so it's interesting because I've tried to break those limiting beliefs of like money doesn't grow on trees. So I would put, that's what was always, you know, said. Yeah. I put a tree of money on like my desktop of my laptop. And it's funny because I'd be at like Harbinger coffee shop, and I'd open it up and I'd be like, oh shit. Like I'd cover it because I'm like embarrassed. And then I'm like, don't be embarrassed. Like this is, you have to put that energy out there too. Yeah. You know?
Absolutely. And I know that's one of the lessons we've learned from you in some of our conversations, because the way I grew up, money was a very taboo subject. It always led to fights. There was never enough of it. No matter how much you had, it wasn't enough. And I think we've confessed this to you before. Andrea and I were living that without even knowing it. Mm-hmm. And you were one that really is like, hey, you got to start talking differently about money. And now I still, to this day, one of my journal entries every morning is my feelings towards money and how I want to make more money, because I know it allows me to do more good in the world.
And it really does. And even now, you know, I think sometimes when people meet me now and they see like the car or whatever, they're, you know, the success, what material wise they might think that, it's what feels good is when you don't have to worry about money, you can pay your employees well. You can surprise them with bonuses or gifts or that sort of stuff. You can send gifts to your patients or your clients or whoever it is, and you don't have to worry about how much you're spending or, oh, should I stay within this budget? You know, it's just like, no, I want to give for the sake of giving, and I don't need to worry about that. And that to me is what I was striving for as a kid, to just not have the concern with it, to not have the worry behind it. And that doesn't mean like there is an abundance of money out there for everyone, but it doesn't mean like you shouldn't have some sort of allocation. But I was raised in like the Dave Ramsey mindset, which is like debt is bad. And then it's starting to figure out of how to like address your money from a holistic mindset, which is how I address health. You know, I would rather take care of things where your body can heal itself versus taking a drug that's just there's nothing against drugs, but you know, it's just going to cover up a symptom where you need to get to the cause of it. And I think that's the same way with looking with money is, you know, we could cover it up, or we could see debt as only a bad thing, but we need to look at how can we make, whether it's debt or just how do we make money work for us? And then how do we have the mindset and the abundance? I mean, it's cool because Andrea has abundance in her business name now, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
work for us.
totally is your perspective. I mean, money is
100%.
neutral, right? Money is paper. Money is just going to make you more of who you are. If you're an asshole and you get money, you're going to be a bigger asshole.
You'll be a rich asshole.
Yeah, you'll be a
Yes.
rich asshole. If you're an amazing giving person and you get money, then you're going to be more of an amazing, more giving person. So no, I love that. And I actually, I'm actually listening to a book right now called FU Money by the author. His name is Dan Locke, and he talks about how so many people have this mindset. They grew up in certain eras and that are so focused on pinching pennies to where they can't be generating dollars, right? Because they're so focused on saving here. So I like that. You know, if that works for you to where, hey, I need to do this for me. I want to get that brand new car. That's great. Dan Locke was talking about how he conditioned himself to be okay with earning more of an income. So he would take a limousine to the airport. He's like, you know, I looked up how much it's to take a cab. It was like $30-$40 more to take a limo. I started taking a limo because, you know, that gives
mindset,
me that mindset that I'm important, right? So I love that. I'm all about it.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
I think even not attaching your emotions to money. I'm someone who like is really cautious of emotional intelligence, anyways. And I think a lot of times we put a feeling towards money where, like you said, money's neutral. There shouldn't be a feeling with it. It's not good. It's not bad. It's, you know, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. It's
and
a resource.
It's a resource, and it all depends how you use it and allocate it. And yeah.
So Dr. Elyse, what were some of these clippings out of 17 magazine?
A lot of them were fashion.
Okay.
To be honest, I thought I was going to be a fashion designer, moved to New York City. I was very into that. And again, I had, at one point, one of the schools I lived in, we had like 35 people in our grade. So it was like small. My dad was farming at the time. And I was like, I just want to like shop at cool stores and get to dress a certain way that I don't get to dress around here. And and I'd always try to go to like Goodwill or even Walmart. Like Walmart was like me getting nice stuff. And I'd get like the knockoff Doc Martens and that sort of stuff. So it was really all about fashion then, and lifestyle, I would say, is what was like clipped out on my vision board.
That's so funny. You say Walmart was going on. I still remember my family jokes about that. We used to get dressed up to go to McDonald's. Not like serious. Like it was like a special day. They'd be like, get dressed up. We're going out for dinner. We're like, where are we going? They're like, McDonald's. And we'd be all dressed up and go in there. And it's just how we were raised, you know. And now, like, if I was like, we're going to McDonald's, like everybody would be like, what? No way. No way.
Disgusting.
So it just shows like how much you appreciate things later on in life, though. I think when that was your baseline back then, you know.
I do, but let me ask you this: how did you not see yourself as a victim? Because that's something that I want the community to really get at is. We have choices, right? Like not everybody's going to be born to the best situation. And so, you know, your dad moving a lot and changing jobs a lot, that's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of people that would see themselves as, okay, I can't do a lot of that because I have this.
Right.
How did you fight the temptation to fall into that and to really continue to push forward, even though it might have been easier at times, quite honestly, to go there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think I ever even thought about that. If I felt victim, it was, you know, when you're young, it's more on like, dang, I was like lead setter in volleyball and now I'm, you know, I've got to earn my keep again, you know, like I need to earn it. And it was constantly felt like I'd get to this point or I'd get moved up on varsity in 9th grade and then we'd move or whatever. And it's like back to the beginning. And I just felt like that grind or that hustle, like now I can look back again, I can be like, that served a purpose because now risk is something I love. You know, I love living in that unknown. I love living in the uncertainty in some way. Of course, we want comfort.
Right.
But I think that's a good question we could all ask ourselves with like the climate of how things are right now. Like if we get into that victim mentality, are we going to look back and be like, I was a victim of the situation? And, you know, like a lot of, I am nervous, you know, that doesn't mean don't be vulnerable and don't worry because, you know, it is nerve wracking of all the small businesses that are being affected by this and all the families that are being affected by this. But do we fall victim of COVID, of what the government's doing, of what's, you know, what's going on around us? Or can we find this time to rise up and be role models and be leaders where we can look back on this time and be proud of the decisions we made and that we made decisions with intention and not because we fell victim to circumstances. So I think that's kind of what I did as a child too. And it's all I knew. You know, when you move that much, it's like, all right, here we go again. So it wasn't it's something I think I look back on and I'm just like, that's why I love connecting with people because I had to learn to continually make friends, to learn the dynamic and the culture of each school, honestly, of each team that I was on, each activity, all of that, each job I had. It was like kind of relearning that and starting over, and then each time trying to get better than I was last time. And I read even like when I was, I don't know, somewhere in high school, I read Stephen Covey's book for teens. It was like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective
the
Teens.
teen version,
That was probably my first like self-development book. And I didn't even know I was reading it. I don't think I knew what it was, but I remember that really helping me with being able to see like win-win situations, win-lose situations, lose-lose situations. It's so simplified as a child or as a teenager, but that really helped me in my day-to-day life.
So let me ask. So I got to ask you this, and because we're at different stages in life. Like I'll be honest, most of my success hasn't come until my kids are older, right? Like they grew up comfortable, but not as successful as we are now, as far as freedoms and our travels and stuff. Your kids are raised completely different than you.
Oh, 100%.
Right? You're a $1 million businesswoman that you created from the ground up, by the way.
My freaking 4-year-old complains about my Range Rover because it doesn't have DVD players in it like her dad's car. That's half the price of mine.
So
and
that's
I'm
how
like,
I know. So how do you get them to appreciate what they have because of what you learned, but also still get them to learn the lessons?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know, because I think about, there's often times where I'm like, well, I had to earn that. I had to, like you get into that mindset of like, I deserve this now because I worked my ass off for this. But I don't also want them to go through some of those feelings and worries and concerns and humiliation and embarrassment when you're wearing, holy things are cool now, but like just, I don't want them to have to go through that, but I also don't want them to think you just get anything you want whenever, so it's, I think, sticking with certain values. But I have a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and an infant, so I'm learning. I don't know.
It's interesting though, you think about, like, for most of us, our purpose comes from our struggles.
Yeah.
And then, like, when I sit back and I reflect on my kids, I'm like, okay, what do we do in their life? Like, where will they see their struggle to find their purpose? Because I do think things have been so good for this generation, for the most part, right? We have moments where it's not good, that really up until this COVID-19, Corona, whatever the hell this thing's called, you really didn't have a lot, at least in my family, they didn't have a lot of super trying times because we had a good economy, stable environments, good work. So I'm just curious, like when we get successful, how do we make sure our kids know that success is possible, but don't take it for granted? Like they got to understand where you came from.
Right. Well, and it's interesting, like I start to see my 5-year-old plays family, she calls it, and mom goes to work and she's like, bye mom, have a good day at work, love you. And I'm like, sweet, dad's doing dishes. Like that's okay to have different family dynamics, but she sees that like you have to go to work, or you go to work because you love, and I really love going to work. Like
you do.
I do. Yeah, I'm ready to get back. I've been on maternity leave. I've still been going back, but I'm ready to see patients. But I don't know. I think you just have to pivot when things happen like this, and it's sometimes I think, yes, we a lot of what shapes us is those struggles, but then at the same time, I think the successes really shape us too. And I think having them be a part of like your celebrations with your successes and just discussing those successes and how you accomplish them too. I think for me, so we talked about personality profiling and that sort of stuff before, and I'm a 3 in Enneagram, which is an achiever. And so I base a lot of my self-worth off of achievements. And so for me, right away when Sloan was 2, I don't know, I was putting her into every activity because activities were how I escaped as a child. I escaped my home situation through sports and activities. And so she's like not enjoying any of these. Basketball, she's like, my nail broke. And, I'm just like, come on. Like in my head, I'm like, suck it up. But I'm like, she's not me, so I think it's just like, I am going to learn so much from, parenting and parenting each different little personality that I have. I mean, you have 3 different personalities
for sure
too. So it's interesting to like how we grow too, and how we don't, being mindful of not like mirror imaging or like putting any of our issues, deflecting them onto these children too, and realizing they're their own little beings, and I'm going to love them through whatever choices they make, and
it's so funny.
Not attach it to me. Let go of emotional attachment. Cut the cord.
Oh, that's so hard. That's easier said than done. But I do have a funny story. So you're talking about Sloan playing family and sending you to work.
Yeah.
when Drianna, my oldest, first started mimicking talking on the phone. I swear, this is the funniest. She would literally pick up the phone and be like, "Hello, Safrona, it's Andrea. I'm going to be a few minutes late again this morning. Is that okay?" Because she heard her mom called in late to work so much, she thought that's what you did when you picked up the phone.
Oh, that's too good.
Yeah. Oh, that is good. So Dr. Elyse, I want to know a little bit more about from the 17-year-old point to now. Mm-hmm. Was there a certain experience, person in your life, event that really helped dial in what your purpose is, what your purpose was? Because it sounds to me like a big driving force behind that was not having everything that you wanted, you know, right. having to sacrifice, having to have less than maybe some of the other kids at school. And that really drove you to have, at that time in your life, a passion and purpose to achieve more, to become an entrepreneur.
Right.
What kind of fill in the gaps for us of like from 17 to now, where you're at now, of what events or specific experiences really helped clarify that purpose and what exactly it is?
Sure. So yeah, I think a lot of the achievement was like the accolades. And so it was just continually like, whether it was a degree or whatnot, it was just like, what's next, what's next, what's next. So going from 17 to 20, I graduated chiropractic school at 24. It was just like, what's the next thing that I can do? And while I was in chiropractic school, I'm writing my business plan because I knew I wanted to open up my own business. But before that, knowing I wanted to be a chiropractor was like, that was probably the most, I don't know, I'd say that was like the pivot for me. I was thinking I was going to be a dentist, and I don't even know why. Like every time I told someone I was going to be a dentist, they'd say like, "Oh, dentists have the highest suicide rate out of any other profession." And
really,
they do. I even like more than psychologists, I guess. And I think
more
because
than
it's
like
so mundane, and no one wants to see you when you're a dentist. You know,
that is true. Nobody's happy to be there.
Yeah, no, right? So it was kind of one of those like not very encouraging responses every time you told someone. Then I was like, why do I even want to be a dentist? I think it was like, I want to be a doctor of some sort. I want to help people, but I don't want to be working all night and, you know, not having a family, and, you know, just like, I don't want it to take away my life. I don't want to spend the next 15 years in residencies and that sort of stuff. And I also knew I didn't want to be giving drugs or, you know, people dying under my care. And not that that's an intention, of course, with medicine, but that is obviously what happens. Iatrogenesis is one of the leading causes of death, which is medical induced death, people taking the right drug at the right time and dying from it. So yeah, I don't want.
That's good. I had no idea on that.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. There's research with it and everything.
Oh, I believe you.
You know. Yeah. But so anyways, dentistry is where I thought I was heading. Well, then my last semester at the University of Minnesota, I went and studied abroad in Norway. While I was in Norway, I went to go backtrack. My mom has always been like, she works for Mayo Hospital right now. She's a medical transcriptionist. So I was raised in the medical model. I was raised like on antibiotics almost every single month for a sinus infection and on like just a lot of crap. Like I had thyroid pill I had to take for, you know, the rest of my life. And just, I don't know, I was on an antibiotic for acne. And so when I went to Norway, I went to go refill my prescriptions, and I went to go get one of the vaccines that was newer at the time. You had to have a couple doses of it. They hadn't even ever given this vaccine in Norway. And Norway is one of the healthiest countries in the world. And she wouldn't refill my acne prescription. She was like, we wouldn't give this to, like, what do you call, like, American pizza face. And my skin was how it is now.
Yeah.
Like,
so you didn't need it.
I don't know. When you're a teenager, you're like, sweet, anything to, you know, make me feel more confident. I don't know. That's what they gave me.
Right.
But I was on an antibiotic. That was an antibiotic for 5 years for acne.
Oh, gosh.
She wouldn't refill it. And so I think that started to shift my philosophy on health while I was in Norway. So I come back to Minnesota, and I have like a semester, summer, I don't know, maybe a year before dental school, wherever that was. And I was like, I want to get out of the restaurant industry right now. I want to just like do an admin position. That'll be easy. And so I went on Craigslist and I got hired at a chiropractic office. Knew nothing about chiropractic. My dad hated chiropractors. He was like, once you start seeing a chiropractor, they make you worse, and you always have to go back, and like all these thoughts about chiropractic. And I like literally saw lives transform in this chiropractic office. I saw women who had been under different fertility treatments for years, not able to have kids. They come in for low back pain. All of a sudden they're pregnant. And that's because the nerves in the low back are going to your reproductive organs. And it was like their body healed itself. It just didn't need that interference within the nervous system.
Yeah.
And so once I saw, kids getting off of medication or just kids thriving, helping with ADHD, helping and like having them come back, like students who were failing and all of a sudden they start getting chiropractic care and they're getting straight A's or just doing better, that confidence too. We have people right now, you don't know, they don't tell you they're suicidal when you first meet them in their new patient exam. And then later on, when they're out of that place, they tell you, like, this is the only thing that changed in my life. Yeah. And you're like, holy shit, like some of these people are on paper the most successful people you will meet who don't have to worry about money, who have families, and you don't even know they're walking that journey until later on. And it was, because of their body having that interference within it. And so being able to just be a part of that journey, but allow people to see how powerful their own bodies are is what shifted me. And instantly I knew, like, I need to be a chiropractor. I need to work with the entire body more than just teeth. Yeah. And sometimes they even say, like, people take better care of their teeth than they do their spine. And it's like, you can see it. If you could see your spine, would you take better care of it?
Sure.
Because you're only given one.
Yeah.
It's not like you can get a spine replacement.
Right.
Like you can teeth.
And then you mirrored that right up to your entrepreneurial spirit, right?
Yeah.
You didn't want to work for anybody else.
Right. Well, and it wasn't even like, it wasn't that I didn't want to be like an employee or I didn't want to, it wasn't the ego part of it. It was like, I want to take care of people in the way I feel they deserve to be taken care of, if that makes sense. Yeah. And it's not, the way you take care of people is not about the money. You don't think about that. You think about the person in front of you and you get that connection with that person in front of you. And that's everything. Like that truly is everything.
It doesn't matter what business you're in.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't. Yeah. And honestly, it goes to your personal relationships too. If when we interact, I value this time.
Yeah.
You're more likely to give more time and to do more things. And I think, hopefully that's one of the things people take out of this recent event is slowing down and really appreciating what's around you, versus kind of hustling all the time and taking it for granted.
Yeah. Figuring out what you want to go back to too.
Yeah, what's truly important.
Yeah. It's an opportunity to pivot, to change. Yeah. To shift your priorities. Yeah.
And I love in your notes here that you're sharing your purpose by leading yourself.
Yeah.
Leadership starts with yourself and then honoring your core values. So, how do you, so you have a very clear vision on what you want out of life. How do you share that with, say, your employees, to make sure, one, they mesh with it, and two, to encourage them to take some risk? That's
a good question. So, well, it's interesting because 4 years ago, you came into the practice and we did core value work with you?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Probably. Was it 4 years ago?
It was the
already?
old clinic. It was the old clinic.
Yeah.
You were still working with PD.
Yeah.
And you came in and did core value work. So we defined our core values.
This is a chiropractic office?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I have 3 other doctors in there, and then so we have a staff of 8. Actually, I just hired 2 more, so 10. No, 1 more? 9? I don't know. I have a seasonal. And then I have a medical practice as well, a stem cell practice, but that's kind of like a side. It's within the office, but it's separate from the chiropractic office. But I would say, so we defined our core values with you, and then we've modified them as things have shifted. But it's something that we talk about, especially we'll do like annual trainings that are like a full day training with our team. And then I do a lot of individual meetings. So we have, each one of my team members has KPIs, key performance indicators that they keep track of. And then I'm meeting with them monthly on that. And then they have quarterly KPIs. So there's a lot of opportunities where I'm meeting one-on-one, and I'm always like very open door policy type of leader. And truly, I just really care about each one of my team members.
Yeah.
And I think that's something like I will text and check in on them about something, even in their personal life or whatever it might be. So I think instilling some of the core values. So with our practice, integrity is one of our top core values. And that's kind of basic. If you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. But if we say we're going to do something for a patient or for a team member, it's the follow through with that we can really like rely on each other on our team. But then excellence is one of the top 2. And that, I think, comes back from my restaurant industry years. So I was actually in the restaurant industry for 10 years. That's where I met Rocky, my husband, who's a chef. And that's something that I think there's a standard of excellence that you withhold when you work at Impact. And it's something that I've seen now being in the community. I opened in 2012, that people know us. And even it's interesting because even if people haven't come in, we get referrals from people who've never even been practice members because they're like, oh, I heard Impact's the best.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from our standard of excellence, but then like genuinely caring about every single person who walks through those doors. So when I hire, I go through a hiring process with a lot of personality profiling.
Yep.
That's really important because I need to make sure that each team member, their personality, their character fills a certain role on our team. But I think your character values, like that honest trustworthiness, like you just have to know you have good people around you, and then you enjoy going to work too. It's not work when you want to see those people, but then also our people want to serve our practice members, if that makes sense. And it's just going back, like every decision you make, if they're sitting there and they're on a phone call and they're like, this person is cussing me out, which doesn't happen that often, but like you might have like an insurance attorney, someone, who's not so nice. And it's just like, how would, going back, like the what would Jesus do? Like they go back to like, what would Impact want me to do?
Yeah.
How do I handle this with a high level of character and excellence to make sure that my emotional intelligence stays in check at this point too, but that we come to a conclusion or a result with peace, with grace and ease. So it's, going back to those core values and bringing them into every single decision that you make, especially in moments of uncertainty or fear or frustration too. But for me, like lead, I talk to my doctors about this too, on be a leader or lead and don't be led. As a doctor, doctor means teacher. And that's something that we took an oath. And that's something that we take pretty darn seriously too. But making sure that when we're talking to a patient, like sometimes you have to have tough conversations. And I always say, if they go to their medical doctor, are they going to be like, well, if you did this, then maybe this would help. But if you don't want to do it, your antibiotic is 10 days. But if you only want to take 2, no big deal. Like, no, that's not how you talk. You need to be a leader because these people's lives are quite frankly depending on you. Even though, oftentimes when you think of chiropractic, if you don't know about chiropractic, you think of like neck pain, back pain, headaches, and that sort of stuff, which is very common bread and butter conditions that we can help with, but it is helping with more of, a lot of people come and see us for more of the reproductive fertility issues. Anxiety and depression is a huge symptom, I'll say, that people come in to get help for because they've tried every other route and they're ready to try something new.
Wow. Yeah. That's new to me. I haven't really heard too much research, and I don't have too much experience in chiropractic. I used to see a chiropractor for a little while, but I think that's fascinating that you guys help with reproductive, with ADHD, with things like that. And it sounds like Impact. I mean, that's fascinating. I'm interested in learning more, actually, that you have your patients discuss core values. I mean, and for me, I kind of drew this picture in my head of like, okay, you're working on a foundational piece of the body, right? The spine.
Right.
And core values to a person, that's a foundational way of living your life. And I think that's very, I think that's genius, that if you're going to be working on this patient from a health standpoint, that intellectually you can find out their core values, and that there's a lot of translation to running a business, to running your life, right? Like, just like you were saying, Impact Chiropractic's core values align with your employees. That's kind of how you hire. I think that's also how you include people in your circle of 5, how you include people in your life. Are they aligned with your core values?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and it's important that you take ownership of that, right? Too many people, they're not territorial enough with their circle, right? If you have interest, I'll let you in. Like I don't screen people to make sure they're good fits, like you're saying.
Right.
For my life, for my businesses, for relationships, and that was funny. We did that talk 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was good.
It was great.
We literally sat down and went through that. And I think if you know who you're looking for personality-wise, who you're looking for character-wise, then all kinds of people are able to come to that, right? Because now you're starting to attract what you want,
right,
instead of being like, well, I need a new receptionist, or I need this in my life, and you get whoever just comes across that's probably convenient.
Right. I mean, you know this from hiring all the police officers around here too. Like, you can read a resume and you're like, that means nothing.
No.
Right.
It really doesn't. To me, that doesn't tell me anything about who you are as a person, what you stand for, how you communicate. Things that are really important. Anyone can answer the phone. Actually, they all really can't. Like, a lot of millennials, not millennials, but younger people haven't had to answer a phone,
Yeah.
They can text though.
Yeah.
So there's things that you hire for character versus for tasks or duties,
Yeah. And I love what you stand for, Dr. Elyse, is you saying your purpose is to lead others, whether that's leading people on your team or lead patients. it's true leadership is creating other leaders, and what you're doing is leading other people to lead themselves, giving them KPIs that they can measure for themselves, helping them find out what their core values so they can begin to lead their own lives. So that brings me to my next question. With your purpose being so leadership driven and wanting to help lead others to lead themselves, who were some of the leaders that you looked up to in your life? Who are some of those people that led you, that really inspired that purpose inside you of wanting to lead?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I read all the time. So there's like plenty of motivational speakers. You know, I've been doing Tony Robbins work for years. But as far as like mentors that were necessarily like a coach to me, I've done a lot of high level coaching. I pay 4 figures for coaching every single month. And so I've had I currently have a really amazing coach. And that's within chiropractic. And she's, oh gosh, been a chiropractor for 25 to 30 years. And so, the experience within that, I would say she's been a huge mentor and leader to me. And also along the lines of like an abundant, holistic money mindset too. One of our financial advisors who you're working with too. He's out on the East Coast. Like she connected me there. But I would say I feel like I always had to fill the role of a leader, you know, being captain of my sports teams and just like learning. I had to almost teach myself how to lead, and I taught myself through books, through audio, through now podcasts. And so it's something that I've always searched for, but I don't always feel like I've had that person side by side mentoring me.
Yeah.
I pay for coaching, so I have paid mentors, but I haven't always had like that role model that I've looked up to. And I think that's why I've tried to develop that for myself, is to figure out like what is a role model mindset to me. And yeah, so I think it's not always having that person. I guess you could think like above you when you're thinking of a mentor, but I think I have a lot more people beside me, like Jared and Andrea, like the circle of 5 aspect is like having those people who are going to push you up and like really help to encourage you and cheer you on and support you, and like not someone who's going to be like, your dreams are too big. You know, just knowing you have those people with the mindset that is similar to yours, I would say is the mentorship that I've surrounded myself around, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
versus
no.
like I can't be like, this one person changed my life, and I wish I had that story. I mean, you've got many people within your book, but a lot of it, like I said, is within you. Like there might be something that can trigger, there might be a moment, there might be a story, but it's ultimately like you changed, you made the decision to get up and do something. Yeah. Because of maybe an influence of someone else, but
well, and that's a fantastic example of so many people might not be surrounded with these great leaders and inspirers all around them. I mean, you said that you had a graduating class like 35 people or something.
Well, that was one of the schools I was in. I ended up graduating with like 265. But what's interesting
Which
is
is still small compared to a lot of schools.
Is it? Oh, I still have like 6 of my high school girlfriends.
Oh,
we
wow.
like see each other regularly. I graduated in 2005, so I mean, that was 15 years ago. But yeah, like we see each other every single year. And so I still like, it's like the friendships I develop are solid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and it's not, yes, you change, yes, you grow, like figuring out your circle of 5, who you're starting. When you're an entrepreneur and maybe like some of your friends and family aren't, that doesn't mean you have to like cut them off or anything, but it's like, I don't have certain discussions. Just like, you don't discuss certain politics or whatever it might be. It's just, you kind of, and that's part of the personality profiling that I do. It's like learning how to adapt to different personalities. That doesn't mean you change yourself, but it means I can communicate better with someone who's different than me. I see value in their thoughts. I see value in why they think and communicate the way they do. And I'm not going to be affected by it because that's who they are. I'm going to find a way to love them and love them for that versus reacting. Yeah. If that makes sense.
It's just an awareness.
Yeah.
Right? If you're aware of yourself now, if I'm aware of myself, I'm more tolerant of you.
Right.
Right? When I'm not confident in myself, I'm not sure what I represent, what do I look for in you? I look for all the things I can pick apart.
Right.
I look for the negative to knock you down so you don't think you're better than me. And it's fascinating. You can do that through personality work. You can do that, I think meditation helps greatly with that because you're reflecting inward. Yeah. And I do think like so many people think a circle of 5 concept means you're 5 people. Well, you can have multiple circles. Right. Right. Like you have a friend circle that includes high school students and people you grew up with. We have a business circle, right? Some people may be in both, some may not. And it's okay. As long as you're aware, because, if I'm in a friend circle, I'm not going there to tell them about the stress of entrepreneurship.
Right.
because they don't have any framework for that.
Right. Totally.
But at the same time, if I'm in my entrepreneurial group, I don't talk to them about my high school activities because they don't understand that. You know? And I think sometimes people limit their own influence subconsciously, right? Either not taking risks to get out or just thinking like, well, this is my life, this is what I have, instead of looking for, kind of like we talked about that abundant mindset, whether money, relationships, it's always out there.
Yeah, and I think sometimes people will like assume, especially when they're doing a lot of work on themselves, they assume they need to cut certain people out, and that's not always a necessity. I mean, sometimes it definitely is if there's, toxicity within that, or some sort of history. But at the same time, I think it's like learning how to, your circle of 5 doesn't need to be the 5 people you spend the most time with. No. Who you are spending time with does mold you in a lot of ways. So that is important. That's why I take hiring so seriously at my office. Also because I'm super protective of my patients, and I want to make sure like everyone, especially the doctors, anyone who's laying their hands on them, it's done with purpose, intention, and love. But yeah, it's interesting when we think of circle of 5 and when we think of who we go to. When I opened the business, like I would never go to my family, any of our family, for business advice, because when I was opening, I had no support whatsoever. Like in-laws, family members, grandma, like they were all like, why don't you go work for someone? And it's like I had to have that belief in myself and know like that's not what my calling is, and that's not my calling at this time either. And just honestly, like drive through, even though I had my husband, my dad, who, the serial entrepreneur, but, couldn't necessarily like help. And it was like, I'm going.
Well, I love that you answered, I don't know who were leaders that I looked up to in my life, because that's just a testament that you can always look for mentorship and knowledge in books, in podcasts. We have beautiful technology today to where you can go seek out these. You can have Tony Robbins as a mentor by listening to his podcast, by reading his books. Even if you grow up in the smallest town and are isolated, these resources are available to us. So I think that's amazing that you're able to share this story coming from a real small town. Your upgrade was Walmart when you were going through grade school.
Yeah.
That was the
and
the
Subway was going out to eat for us.
And Subway was going out to eat.
Or Perkins. Perkins was pretty high end. Do you guys have Perkins? Do you know what that is? Okay.
Yeah, I remember Perkins.
And now I even forgot how to say it. Beef
bourguignon.
Yeah.
Foie gras. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So that's fantastic. I think I'd like to learn a little bit more about how do you tie in, because this is really interesting to me. How do you tie in when someone's coming to see you for, fertility,
right,
or ADHD, and they're coming for chiropractic? I'm thinking you're just going to be messing with my spine. How do you present to them? Okay, well, first let's identify your core values. Can you tell us a little bit about that process?
So a lot of it is going back to their body. So it's, why they're there, and finding out, like, let's just say, we'll just go typical, because you would come to a chiropractor, I'm going to assume, for neck pain, we'll say. Okay. That's common, right? And so you're not coming in looking for your life to be transformed. Most people aren't, unless they really have tried every route and then they hear about us. So typical is going to be someone coming in for a typical chiropractic problem, headache, neck pain, whatever. So when you come in, we'll talk about that more, and we'll dive into more history. But then what's really important is we talk about what we call your hot button. So let's say it is I'm just going to go headaches, which come from your neck, so you might have neck pain with it. And we talk about the life effect of that. So how is that affecting your life? And we dig deep. Like, we continue, because we might have some people who, oftentimes men who are like, oh, it doesn't really bother me. My wife made me come here, and it's like, okay, well, how often are you getting those headaches? What do you do when you get them? Okay, you're popping ibuprofen. How often? Twice a day? Every day? Okay, that's 700 ibuprofen a year within you. How do you think that's affecting your body? So when you get a headache, what do you need to do? I need to go lay down, blah, blah, blah. So when you go lay down, what do you think you're missing out on? And like just going in, oh, well, like I'm pretty crabby with my kids and my wife, and, like sometimes I just need to have a drink and go to bed, just watch TV and be mindless because I've had a stressful day and now I have a headache. And so it's finding, how is this affecting your life? And then let's set a goal, which sometimes people don't even know that there's another side to this. They've been living with this for so long that this is a normalcy, or they've seen that happen in their family and that's how you handle problems. But setting a goal for, when we get rid of the headaches, what do you want to be doing more of in your life? What will you do with that time that you've been laying down? What will you do? How do you think your body will adapt once you don't need to be taking those ibuprofen every single day, or your mental emotional health isn't happening. And like literally people will answer those questions. So it's really just guiding and coaching them and leading them through it. It's not giving them, you know, ideas of how it is affecting their life. It's like sometimes you just sit there and you listen and you're like, shit, like a headache that's common. It's not normal. It's not normal for your body to have a headache. That's a warning sign of something, but it's common. It really like is affecting some people's sex lives, like, which is affecting their relationship and their marriage, and they're on the bridge of divorce. And it's like, you just go down this path where you're like, oh, but you thought you were just here for one adjustment to, you know, help with that neck pain, you know, but let's talk about how we can change your life. And really your body does its own healing. So it's not even anything. It's obviously we're removing that interference, but your body is taking care of itself.
Yeah, I remember when I first met her, I had gone to a chiropractor before, and I was doing a lot of jiu-jitsu and stuff at the time. So, you know, I had neck pain, my back would hurt, and I'd go in there, and no matter what I said was hurting, he did the same things. So I was like, all right, I'm not going back. Like, this can't be good for me. And you met Andrea, and she's like, no, you got to go to Dr. Elyse. You got to go to Dr. Elyse. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to be a stubborn patient. I'm not going to tell her nothing. So I come in, she's like, how do you feel? I'm like, great. She's like, okay, good. Get on the table. She's like, oh, you're sore right there, aren't you? And I'm like, no, not at all. Not at all. And I was like, damn, like she could literally just feel me. Like, oh yeah, what's been going on here? Have you been doing this again? I'm like, how did you know I was doing it? She's like, oh yeah, every time you do that, you're super right here. And I mean, I was just blown away because she invests, right? Like you do the x-rays, you actually talk to each other, you find out what activities I'm involved in so that you kind of have a game plan. Okay, you're doing this, so this is the areas your body's going to exert itself more, so this is where I got to look. Versus, you know, some of these places where you pay $25 on the corner and they crack you and you leave. And I'm just like, dude, why would you let somebody work on you? Got one spine.
Yeah.
Why would you let them do that with no information about you?
You wouldn't go to the dentist and have dental work without x-rays. And you can see your teeth. Like, that's why I'm like, you see them versus your spine. Everyone knows how valuable their spine is, but I don't think they always know to maintain it and to take care of it.
No.
But yeah, it's interesting because the body doesn't lie. Like, we get those warning signs. Sometimes we get them as symptoms, but less than 10% of your nerves actually perceive pain. So oftentimes that's why someone can have cancer, and it's when they get the diagnosis, they didn't get it yesterday. You know, it's been developing in their body for years oftentimes, but your body doesn't give you that sign of pain or a problem. And that's why we have to take care of it before we ever have that. And especially with all the stress, like a lot of it stress, that external stress, whether it's like thoughts, traumas, toxins, whatever it might be, that you hold it within your body. Yeah. And so when you think of like your cup, and when you're filling your cup, like you do jujitsu, you get smacked in the face when you're doing MMA, you know, like all these like physical traumas that your body, like adrenaline, like we don't always feel it. You get over it really quick, but it's still stacking in that body. And then something significant emotionally might happen. You lose someone really close to you, and all that emotional stress just pours over that cup, and you're a mess. Yeah. And sometimes you're gone and too far. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's going to take years of work to even get back. And that's not just chiropractic, but it is, you know, that nervous system work plus the mental emotional work too, which chiropractic helps you adapt to stress. That's the biggest thing as to why like someone healthy is going to be under chiropractic care. Someone who looks perfect is the picture perfect health. They're still preventing and maintaining that through chiropractic care.
I secretly think she just torture me too, though. I'm not gonna lie. I think she digging it where she knew I was gonna be sore. I'm like,
I'm good. It's too funny.
Well, definitely making an impact in the community, to say the least.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Sounds like a fantastic place. I'm interested in learning more about Impact Chiropractic, and where can our community go to learn more about you and Impact Chiropractic if they want to get more information?
So we're very active on Instagram, and our handle is at Impact Chiropractic. And even if you don't live locally, we give a lot of helpful like home tips, whether it's dealing with stress or whether it's postural exercises, or we get into some of like the biohacking. And I mean, our families are similar with like the random, you know, like oils and dry brushing and CBD and like all those extra like bulletproof. I mean, you guys have been doing bulletproof of some sort for years. Like, and that's what I have worked out with Andrea for 6 years. I don't know. Yeah. I haven't been lately, being pregnant and everything. But so I feel like we give those sorts of tips on our social media. We want to make sure that we give value and content, whether you're a patient at the office or practice member or not.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. At Impact Chiropractic. And where are you guys here in Fort Collins?
Right on College Avenue, so College and Prospect, just right next to the drive-through Starbucks.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly where
Yeah,
that's at.
fancy,
Cool.
nice, fancy office.
Yeah, it's bougie.
It is.
Bougie.
You
But
feel
everyone's
good going.
welcome. Everyone's welcome. I know when we first opened this location, people were like, do I need to dress up to come here? We have a chandelier and stuff. But I'm like, no.
Do you have some beef bourguignon in the lobby?
We do have a plumbed line coffee bulletproof system.
Okay, nice.
Tea and all of that. But no. Not with masks too. We wanted to do like treats for different events.
That's
And we're
right.
like, how are we gonna do this? Like Cinco de Mayo, we're gonna do margaritas and chips and salsa. And we're like,
Oh, cool.
well, everyone has a mask on. Great. We did have Rita's Italian Ice come the other day though.
Did
so
ya?
then on the way out, they could pick that up. Yeah.
That's good
Nice.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely go above and beyond making sure people feel valued,
Well, thank you.
both inside and outside of the clinic and in your life.
Appreciate
And that's
that.
why we're honored to be able to take some of your time and share these stories with our community. So if you had maybe 2 tips for somebody in our community that's like, man, how do I believe in myself to do something that nobody else is doing, or nobody else that I don't see anybody else doing, but I just know I can do it? What would you say to them?
I would say if you could just kind of take a new perspective on it and see it as an opportunity that no one else is doing it and that you're going to be the first to do it, so that you really are innovative and you're cutting edge, you're ahead of where people might be ready. Like there might be a lot of people not ready for that, but they will be, and you're going to always have like haters. You're always going to have people who don't support you, especially in the beginning. But later on, like if you can start envisioning the future and what that looks like, what that feels like make that future real, whether it's an idea that you have in a business or if it's some way you want to change your life or your lifestyle or your career or whatever it might be, even just like who you are. Envision what that's like and get really clear on that. Don't just have like a fuzzy vision, because you're not going to, if you have a fuzzy vision, you can't see anything, you know?
That's true.
So I'd say get clear on that and take, your situation and see like that, what's that called? That bird's eye view, and see what does that look like from someone else's perspective? What does that look like if I wasn't myself? Like I have the tendency to think like it could always be worse. So like through this pandemic and through, having to close my business down and that sort of stuff, I always think like, but no one's dying. Like it's bad, but that's where my mind goes. And that might be a negative way to think, but it's always like, it could always be worse. And I'm grateful it's not. I have an attitude of gratitude, or where can I see gratitude in this journey, in this situation, and opportunity in it too. And I really think there's a ton of opportunity right now for all of us.
Yeah.
And it's those of us who rise above and pivot and don't fall victim to circumstances around us, because we still have a lot of control in our life, in our families' lives, in our business lives. Sometimes you have to pivot your business at this time too, but you might be able to look back and see. So I'd say step 5 years ahead, step 10 years ahead, whatever it is. If you're in this situation where you feel like you have this, like you said, like an idea, or there's people around you who don't understand it or no one's doing it, and start to see what will it be like when I'm there.
Yeah, that's great.
But sometimes I think when you're an achiever too, you have the tendency to always be like, well, when I'm there, this will be this.
Yeah,
that
like can be dangerous.
Yeah, so that can be dangerous too. So it's like when I get there, whatever that is, like figure out what there is, maybe the 5 year, but come up with those baby steps along the way, and then how you're going to celebrate those baby steps, because you have to hold yourself accountable to celebrating those too. Because sometimes when you get there, you don't celebrate your successes at that time. Yeah.
That's fantastic advice. And I know we didn't get to it today, but I'm excited to see what this new business you're launching in the fall is going to be.
Yeah, it's top secret actually. So
There you go. So now would Rocky say that Elyse also is a serial entrepreneur?
possibly. I know that's as hard as I love working. I really love working. And so I have to be like very mindful of that and have intentional family time and self-care time and that sort of stuff, because I would just be like total entrepreneur all the time if I didn't have that mindfulness behind it. So
well, it's good to strive for balance, but also, you know, you got to reward yourself for the success you've created.
100%. And I think when you get the right people in place and like the right team, because that's kind of where I'm at now, is I have amazing leaders on my team that have developed over time that it's not like I have to be there and lead all the time.
Right.
You know, a small amount of my time can be really influential to the people on your team too. So just making sure they know that they're important in your life as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining
Yeah,
us.
thanks for having me.
Community, make sure you reach out and support Dr. Elyse and keep an eye out for all of her upcoming stuff.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, Doc.
All right, team, as we wrap up another episode of the On Purpose podcast, we are thankful for having you all on our journey. We want to announce new ways to include you and let you go deeper into our community. First off, we got the onpurposepodcast.com website where you can subscribe to our monthly newsletter, get inside tips, and see what's coming up in the upcoming months. As well as our new launch is our Patreon account. We have 5 tiers where you can decide at what level you want to contribute to the podcast and the community, help support us, continue to push us forward and grow. And it's as little as 50 cents an episode or $2 a month, all the way up to $50 a month, depending on where you want to be. Perks of this are sneak peek episodes. You get the episodes quicker. You get to contribute on episodes. You get monthly Q&As with Ali and I and special guests. And you get to be a building block for our community as we continue to grow worldwide. With the release of Shelley Davies' episode, we are now international. And we're excited for the future leads us. So please fit in with us wherever you are comfortable. And remember, team, life is far too short to live any other way than on purpose. We'll see you next week.